My fellow Sadzaitas, Mozambique is burning. The land of Samora Machel, the land of Joaquim Chissano, the land of Armando Guebuza is burning. It's been 3 weeks of chaos in the aftermath of the Mozambique general election. At least 30 people have been killed, and that number is still rising. Furthermore, hundreds are either injured or arrested as the authorities clamp down on public demonstrations. SADC has called for an extraordinary summit to be held in Zimbabwe from the 16th of November to discuss this crisis, amongst other issues, of course. This will be President Mnangagwa's first test as SADC chairman. It will be interesting to see how he deals with it. It's not a secret that his political party, ZANU PF, believes that there is an agenda, a Western agenda to wipe out all former liberation movements in Southern Africa, the so-called regime change agenda. So, ZANU PF is in defensive mode, especially given that former liberation movements in Southern Africa are slowly losing their grip on power, with the BDP completely out, the ANC hanging on for dear life, and Frelimo seemingly under siege. Take a look at this tweet from Tefadzwa Mugwadi, the former ZANU PF Director of Information, who is now an MP. He goes, "At one point, we had Ian Khama in Botswana, Levimana Wasa in Zambia, Lindiwe Zulu and others in South Africa, and Joyce Banda in Malawi. I have said a lot. In the end, it was ZANU PF as was in the beginning. By the time the toddlers wake up, elders would have vapored the morning dew." Those are the words of Tefadzwa Mugwadi. The question is, what is this morning dew, or rather, who is this morning dew that Mugwadi says will be vapored by the elders? Is he referring to the Hakainde Hichilemas of this world, the Dumabokos of this world? Or is he talking about the threat posed to Frelimo by the protesters in Mozambique? If that is the case, is SADC the platform upon which ZANU PF and its gang of elders will vapor the morning dew of public demonstrations in Mozambique? Well, fellow Sadzaitas, slay queens and bingers, socialites, papalites, asinamalites, barikudya rice, never sinama rights. Welcome to the special report. Now, in case you're clueless about what's been happening, let me give you a brief background so we are all on the same page, leaving no one and no place behind. Let's build this special report brick by brick, if you know what I mean. So, Mozambique held a general election on the 9th of October. The main contenders for president were Daniel Chapo of the ruling Frelimo party, Osufo Momade, leader of the main opposition, Renamo, and Venancio Mondlane, an independent candidate who is backed by a party called Podemos. Almost like what happened in Zimbabwe in 2008 when Simba Makoni, the independent candidate, was backed by the MDCM party, and not to be confused with the MDCT. Anyway, back to the story. The independent candidate, Venancio Mondlane, actually used to be a member of the Renamo party, which has over the years been the main opposition in Mozambique. As I said earlier, voting in Mozambique took place on the 9th of October. This election was marred with various irregularities, including allegations of ballot stuffing and various counts of fraud. 10 days after polling day, there were 2 killings. Venancio Mondlane's lawyer was shot dead, along with a senior official from the Podemos party, that is the political party which was backing Mondlane in the just ended elections. On the 21st of October, police violently dispersed Mondlane's press conference and protests near the site of the killings. Afterwards, Mondlane fled to South Africa, fearing for his life. Days later, The SADC chairman, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, congratulated Frelimo for winning the elections, even though the Electoral Commission of Mozambique hadn't as yet announced the result. This caused a massive backlash in the region amid allegations of ZANU PF supporters having been transported to Mozambique to vote for Frelimo on polling day. On the 24th of October, the Electoral Commission of Mozambique finally announced that Daniel Chapo of Frelimo had won the election by over 70%, with Venancio Mondlane coming second on 20%. This announcement was met with a lot of resistance from the opposition. Venancio Mondlane called for a 2-day nationwide strike on the 24th and 25th of October, which the police moved to suppress. But things have moved from bad to worse, and the army has been deployed to help disperse protesters. Mondlane is still in South Africa and remains adamant that protests must continue. In one of his addresses on social media, he said, "It's time to either change or save this nation. We must act now. This isn't a battle for foreigners. We Mozambicans must free ourselves from Frelimo." Those are the words of Venancio Mondlane. So, it's been almost 3 weeks and still the protests are raging, cars are burning, people are dying, and the president-elect Daniel Chapo still hasn't been sworn in. The Constitutional Council of Mozambique is yet to validate the results of the elections. This is a constitutional requirement by Mozambican law. The opposition has challenged the results in court, and SADC is meeting to discuss this crisis. Where to from now? But as SADC meets to discuss this crisis, the question is there a chance that SADC may nullify the election result? Well, the short answer is no. But in the first place, that question assumes that the SADC Extraordinary Summit is being convened to nullify the election result. Well, far from it. Very, very far from it. Very extremely far from it. You see, originally, SADC was established on the principle of non-interference, the principle of territorial integrity, and the sovereign equality of all member states. In summary, and here I'm summarizing Article 11.2 of the SADC Protocol on Politics, Defense and Security. There are 4 main reasons that can cause SADC to intervene in a member state. 4 main reasons, and these are: number 1, a dispute between member states; number 2, when a member state is under attack from a foreign force; number 3, when there is extreme violence of a genocide kind in a member state; and number 4, a coup d'etat. Those are the 4 main factors that can warrant a SADC intervention. And SADC doesn't just intervene, by the way. It is a certain way or certain methods that it uses in all its interventions. Sometimes a SADC can actually intervene and you'll never find out because of the nature of methods that it uses to intervene in member states. So, what are these methods that SADC uses to intervene? Well, Article 11.3 of the SADC Protocol on Politics, Defense and Security says that the methods employed by SADC shall include preventive diplomacy, which is basically steps taken to ensure that the conflict doesn't escalate. Other methods used by SADC also include negotiations, conciliation, mediation, good offices, which basically means we will sit down with you and help you figure out your issues, but we won't tell you what to do. Other methods used by SADC are arbitration and adjudication by an international tribunal. So you see, SADC is soft as wool, just like its chairman. It goes on to say that where peaceful means of resolving conflict are unsuccessful, the chairperson of the SADC Security Council, acting on the advice of the Ministerial Committee, may recommend to the summit that enforcement action be taken against one or more of the disputant parties. The summit shall resort to enforcement action only as a matter of last resort and in accordance with Article 53 of the United Nations Charter, only with the authorization of the United Nations Security Council. So you see, a quiet diplomacy is the gospel of SADC. The careful handling of issues, sugarcoating if needs be. That's why you saw Thabo Mbeki saying there is no crisis in Zimbabwe at the height of the 2008 long sleeve, short sleeve barbaric choppings, which took place in ZANU PF political bases, which I sometimes like to call the Zimbabwean version of Hitler's concentration camps. Even at such overwhelming evidence, Thabo Mbeki chose to say there is no crisis in Zimbabwe. Yet, behind the scenes, the ZANU PF MDC talks under SADC had already started. Many people think that the ZANU PF MDC talks under SADC started after the June 2008 runoff election. But no, that is not true. The SADC intervention effort on the Zimbabwean political crisis started in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania on the 29th of March 2007. 1 year before the fateful 2008 elections. But that's a subject for another day. The point I am making is, it's not every time that you will know when SADC intervenes, because SADC intervention efforts don't necessarily mean force. If anything, force is the last card that SADC employs. In most cases, SADC employs quiet diplomacy, conciliation, good offices. And I've already explained what this means. This is nothing, absolutely nothing to do with nullifying the result of any election in the region. So, whenever there is an electoral dispute, especially one that gets so messy to the point of claiming lives, the best that SADC can do is to encourage all parties to work together in a government of national unity, like what happened in Zimbabwe in 2008. However, the emergence of Hakainde Hichilema changed things a bit, because for the first time, a SADC observer mission broke protocol and said things as they are. For the first time, a SADC observer mission challenged and questioned the legality of certain instruments in the Zimbabwean electoral system. It questioned our delimitation process. It questioned the application and interpretation of the law by ZAC in certain circumstances. This was unprecedented. But it gets worse. There is a new guy in Botswana, Duma Boko, a man who once addressed a DA meeting in South Africa, a man who, just like Hakainde Hichilema, invited opposition leaders in the SADC region to attend his inauguration, much to the annoyance of ZANU PF. But no one as yet knows the political trajectory Botswana will take under the new president, Duma Boko. But we know what happened when Ian Khama was still in charge. Botswana took a hardline position against ZANU PF, and Levmana Wasa was constantly publicly criticizing Robert Mugabe. But Tafodo Mugwadi seems to think that ZANU PF will deal with Duma Boko and Hakainde Hichilema the same way it dealt with Levmana Wasa and Ian Khama. Well, you can't underestimate ZANU PF. They are pretty experienced at this, but things are a little different. Back then, the ANC and Frelimo were very strong, but nowadays, the ANC is sharing power with the opposition and Frelimo is now seemingly under siege. The political tectonic plates in the region are shifting. But whatever happens, I'll be here to marinate you with all the details without fear or favor, because on this platform, we say it as it is. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoy the content, please like and share.